Hi, my name's Adam. I'm the original Penguin. It's great to be doing this again. It's been a while. It's actually been quite a long while. Why did Google not turn my lounge lights on? Bear with me just 1 second. This is a little bit embarrassing, but hey Google, turn the lounge light on. Thank you. Yes. Where did I get to? I'm Adam. I'm the original Penguin. I think I did that bit. I am going to be playing City Skylines today, which is so cool because I really love this game. I've got a couple of 100 hours on it on PC. I am by no means an expert, but I've definitely picked up some tips and tricks that if you're completely new to the game, they will be absolutely paramount. There are so many things, so many aspects to this game that will drive you insane. And I have a couple of small tips that should help you out. Like I said, by no means an expert, so I do still struggle with some areas, but at least I can impart knowledge on the aspects that I am well versed in. Anyway, so yeah, I am going to, first of all, we're going to create a new game. I'm playing with the gamepad, by the way, because I imagine that's how most people will be playing. This game is obviously best played with a mouse and keyboard, but the port is no worries, Roberto. Thanks for turning on the lights. um, I completely lost myself then. Oh yeah, so most people will probably be playing with gamepad, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to talk you through some of the controls with gamepad. Also, the green blob that you can see darting around the screen at a minute, that is Toby eye tracking, so you can see where I'm looking, just in case I can't get the names of things. I might be going, look at this part of the menu, look at that icon, and yeah, just follow the green blob. That'll give you an idea of where I want you to look. Anyway, so first things first, I think we need to start a new game, because when you first start, there's going to be a mistake that almost everybody makes. And I want to just pick a random... let's try this one. Okay. So you can change the name, obviously. Left-hand traffic. Now, I want to take a moment to just quickly explain why this does matter. If you're English, like I am, or one of the very few countries in the world that drives on the left-hand side, make sure you turn this on. If you don't drive on the left-hand side, I really recommend you leave it off, because it will seriously impact the way that you build one-way systems, whether that be as roundabouts, or could be asymmetric roads, or it could be the way that you have arranged your city. If you drive on the left hand side but you're going round a roundabout to the right, that's going to really slow down your traffic, because you're going to have crossing streams of traffic. So yeah, it is actually more important than you think to keep it to what you know, what comes natural to you. Just so for me, I'm going to be turning left hand traffic on. So yeah, let's go from... the stuff that's there on the side isn't all that important, really. I guess that's more for when you're more advanced. I don't even need that information most of the time. I just pick a map and start building. I personally recommend that you turn day-night cycle off. It doesn't have any real impact on the game yet. There are some aspects of the game that do change, but you're not really going to notice it, other than it's always bright. You can always see what you're building, you can always see the traffic, you can always see whatever you need to see. So for now, I really recommend that you turn that off. As for these, obviously you can fiddle around with these to your heart's content. But yeah, and just to add, you can toggle this once you're in a game. So let's go down and start a new game. By the way, just to let you know, I do have some of the DLCs for this game already. I did tell myself I wasn't going to buy any until they're on sale, but I ended up spending £40. So, yeah. It is what it is. Okay, so usually when you start a map, this is what you'll see. There won't be two of them. I think almost all the maps, this is what you'll see. You'll see one intersection coming off of the motorway, and then some more motorway leading onto an area that you can build within. This kind of complicates what my plan was for when you start out, but anyway, first things first. This game, for some reason, locks some of the things that you have access to until you've placed a road. So the very, very, very first thing you want to do is you just want to build a little road and then get rid of it. And now you have access to some more things. Hi, Lo-Fi Monks. Thanks for stopping by. And the reason that you wanted to do that is because the first thing you want to do after that is you want a roundabout coming off of this, coming off of these motorway. So, as I said, for me, I'm left-hand traffic, so the roundabout will be going this way. If you're right-hand traffic, then it will be going around this way. Usually, they're also, like, perfectly in line. I don't like this. So. One thing that's really important as well is do not delete these. You don't have access to highway path until quite considerably later in the game, 2200. So if you delete these, you may end up having to restart the game, especially if you delete it beyond what you can replace with like a road. Oh, a lot of people, their first instinct will be to go like this, like put a road down like that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's just silly. Unless you plan on linking it up with another motorway, you should always just start with a nice simple roundabout. So the way that I'm going to do that is I've got it on curved mode. Yeah, curved. The way that I'm doing this is holding Y, by the way. It opens up this radial menu. We do curved. And as you can see, there are all sorts of guidelines that are coming up. These, what would I say? These parallel lines that are perpendicular to the road that I'm about to build. When they are full like that, like this, the gap between those two lines is like one block, if I show you. Can you see how this grid perfectly fits within that? That's what those guidelines are showing you. That seems rather loud. Why is that sound effect so loud? Let me turn that down. It's unnecessarily loud. Okay, so yeah, what I like to do when I'm making roundabouts is I wait until that pops up, until you see the lines, which means you're halfway, like half a block. Then I go one wider, and then I do the same this way. Because if you make the roundabout too small, some roads won't be able to join onto it. Okay, there we go. A wacky roundabout. Wonderful. And why do we do a roundabout? Because roundabouts are the easiest way to avoid congestion at the beginning. Okay? This is only temporary. It might be temporary for quite a long time, but it's only going to be temporary. The next thing you want to do... Oh, by the way, I do this paused so that I'm not losing any money. Because if I unpause, I have to pay upkeep on the roads. So if you do this paused, it gives you the opportunity to build at your heart's content. Without it charging you like daily or weekly fees. You're just paying for what you build. Hi everyone, hi Untrix, hi Already Exist. Thank you for stopping by. So the next thing you want to do is you want to have kind of a rough idea of the city that you want to build. Now, if you're new to City Skylines, you're not really going to have a good idea of what you can build, what will work, what won't work. I mean, I still struggle, and like I said, I've got a couple of 100 hours on this. So, generally speaking, you want to keep your residential areas where they're going to be, where the land value is going to be highest. I love water because you can turn these shorelines into like how do you describe it? Like kind of like promenades, I guess. You can flatten this once you've unlocked landscaping, which is the symbol I'm looking at the minute. And when you build alongside the water, you can put some houses there, and they'll already have higher land value. So, anyway, let's get started. So we close this out, go info views, and I did that by not having any of these items selected, holding Y, and then I press down, or you can use the radial menu. And the first thing you want to check is your natural resources, because if you can do specialized industry, you're going to have a lot less pollution, and it's going to work out better for you. So as you can see here, we've got fertile land, which means that I can do farming here eventually. I haven't unlocked the specialization yet, but eventually I can do the fertile land. So yeah, no, it's a handy tool. So one of the first things I do when it comes to building my industrial area is I always have a high capacity road coming into and out of it. And you'll experience why. I absolutely hate industries on this game. They produce far too much traffic. It is nearly impossible to deal with the industries on this. So there we go. We just got a nice big road leading into the fertile land. And then what I will do is, if I was going to keep this save, which I won't, but if I was going to keep this save, I would definitely be joining these highways up. So I'm going to draw this road to remind me that I will be doing that. So this would actually be highway here. And let's see, we want to think about zoning. So like I said, I want the housing to be near the shoreline. It really is addictive. Really, 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 really is. I told myself, no, Adam, you don't need to play it. You don't need to play it. You've got other games to complete. You know, you've played loads of it on computer. So, yeah, you don't need to play it. Just finish your other games. Yeah, that didn't work. Just make this up for now. One thing you want to bear in mind as well is intersections. Intersections? Is that what it's called? Yeah, intersections. Okay. So, depending on how your roads are set up and which roads you use will affect how the intersections automatically apply. So you see here, this is an avenue. So it's 2 lanes, 2 sets of 2 lanes going in opposite directions. If I put a road coming into this, like this, you'll see that it's automatically added traffic lights. You can turn those off by just doing that, nice and easy. But you'll notice that down here, there's a road at the end of the avenue, and it didn't have traffic lights. You didn't see me turn them off, and they're not there. That's because there's a one-way system. When the game detects that a road is connected to a one-way system, it won't have the traffic lights, because it knows that it's basically a roundabout. Even if it's square or really long or whatever, it will know it's basically a roundabout. Especially if the road is set up like that. If I was to do something like that, it might put them on. No, okay, no, it knows that it is still a full road. There we go. Okay, cool. Anyway, so here we go. Here's the makings of the start of my town. Okay, so we've got a road leading over here where we're going to have some industry, and we have the border of my town, of my residential area over here, and I guess we can add another road too. I really don't like roads that straight that are that long. Let's add a bit of variety. Okay, there we go. Right, so we've got quite a large residential area planned. Another thing that I'm going to want to do is maybe off in here somewhere. We've already got an intersection here, so I can use this. I'm going to use a dirt road and bring it out this way, nice and straight. Because this is where we're going to have, when we've unlocked it, this is where we're going to have the like the landfill. I'm going to try and avoid using any of the DLC items to during this. Why don't I want long straight roads? I just don't think they look pretty. I don't think it looks good at all. Look, I mean, I can do this, you know, we can all pretend that we're living in America or something, and everything will look, oops, everything will be in perfect grids, and you'll have traffic lights up the wazoo. Look at this. You'll only fit like 7 cars along there, and then they've got to stop again. Yes, it makes the game a little bit easier to zone, but personally, I just prefer to make it look more natural. I don't know where you guys are all from, but here in England, roads are very rarely straight. Yeah, and it does get boring as well. Yeah, you're right, Lo-Fi Monk. Because there's not really that much you can do with them. Don't get me wrong, I have the odd straight road here and there, where either where it's important, or if I want to do something like a bridge, and I don't want it to bend, I'll go for straight roads. But anyway, and yeah, so like this dirt road here, I've made this straight on purpose so that I can line up my my landfills when I've unlocked them. Okay, so next thing's next. Next thing's next. Right, let's move on. I have never started my town with a coal power plant ever. It seems unnecessarily expensive to start with, and it produces quite a lot of pollution. So I always start with the windmills. So as you can see, I've selected windmills, and you've got this weird color overlay. This is telling you the wind strength. You want to go for the darkest colors possible. 8 is the maximum, and it doesn't mean that you're going to get 8 megawatts all the time. It just means that when the wind is at its strongest, you will manage to get 8. So I usually put 2 down so that they last a little bit longer before I need to start adding more. And you're already going to want to put some pylons in, linking to areas that you're about to build. I mean, you may have already started building them. I haven't, as you can see. So I'm going to add these pylons in now. These can all be removed later because properties feed other properties with power. Next thing is, I never bother with the water tower. Oh, I didn't know that. Remessence. Straight roads have also been found to have more accidents. I didn't. Do you mean in real life, or do you mean in the game? So the next thing we need to sort out is our water and our sewage. So you'll see these 3. Sorry, you'll see these 4. I don't think you'll have access. Maybe this one, but you won't have these 2. So this one's sewage. Water drain pipe is sewage. And this one's water pumping. So, don't do the rookie mistake. Don't make the rookie mistake of going like, oh, I'll put my sewage up here, and I guess I could put my water down here. And before I even place this, can you see the problem with that? I hope you can see the problem with putting your water pumping station downstream from your sewage outlet. But if you can't see what the problem will be, I'll tell you. You'll kill everyone. You'll kill everyone by making them drink sewer water. So the arrows in the river will show you the direction of the water. If you've got a lake, it will be still. You won't have arrows necessarily. So you can still use that for water pumping and draining. Adds flavour to your water. You're disgusting. So you can use lakes, but just be aware that the pollution, the water pollution created from the sewage outlet will spread. So just keep an eye on that. So yeah, I tend to just stick these out of the way, even though it means I have to spend a little bit more money taking everything over. I don't want to waste too much money. And by the way, if you're playing with natural disasters on, if you have the DLC natural disasters, you do not want to do something like this. You want to have like 5 routes coming out of your water pumping stations, because all it takes is one earthquake and your entire city is without water. So we also need to take some power over to them. Let's finish doing some of these roads. Is that 180 degrees? It doesn't quite look good. Yeah, it doesn't quite look like 180 degrees. Just for fun. Oh, no way. That's really kind of you. You didn't have to do that. But I really do appreciate that, Lo-Fi Monk. So here we go. This is the start of my industrial area. So now I'm going to come over to the zoning. I'll just paint on some industrial. This won't be used at the start because I don't have anyone living here yet. When I'm playing with daytime, where it's always daytime, I really, really enjoy using dirt roads just for residential. Just because they look really nice. I think they look really stylized compared to just normal paved roads. Also, you can always upgrade these later on. If you select a road, you hold Y, you can go on upgrade, and you can upgrade them. You can also downgrade roads as well. So don't be afraid to mix things up as you go. Do I like that? I don't like that. Okay, there we go. Right, so now we need to put down some residential. I could do what I did over here where I just go individually and click them all on. Or we can hold Y again and we can paint it on like this. I don't recommend doing this too often because you'll end up with death waves. But at the very, very, very beginning of the game, you're going to be building so few houses. I don't really think it's important. When do parts for walking unlock? Ah, okay, so 1200. Once you have reached a population of 1200, then you get to the parts. I'm going to go on to that stuff. I'm just showing, right now, I'm just showing what I do right at the very beginning when I've just started a new town. Okay, there we go. And have I watered everyone here? That'll do. Okay, so now we press play. If you hold the L3 button, you can tell it to fast forward. Just make sure you you let go of the button before it puts it back to normal speed, because it will continuously change. If I just hold, oh no, it didn't do it this time. Oh, usually it does. Weird. Oh, another thing. I've just seen your message already exist. One thing I really love about the dirt roads is, let me slow this back down. Whilst I still have money to show you this. So on this game, depending on the road style, it will change the type of bridge that you have. So if you do a perfectly straight road, it will have a different bridge to, apart from this one, it'll have a different bridge to when it's curved. Let me put that on curve. So if I come over here to the avenue and I do a perfectly straight bridge, you can see it's got like that iron steel girder thing. It's got that like steel girder look, which looks really, really cool. But if you turn it, it loses that. And then you have the 6-lane roads, which are more like the Golden Gate Bridge sort of style. There we go. And I can't show you the highway, but I think it's pretty much the same as the 6-lane road. But the road that has the best bridge is the dirt road. Okay, so first of all, I want to show you the rounded, right? So that's what it looks like when it's curved. But let me show you when it's straight. This is so cool. I don't know if you can see that properly. I don't want to waste $3 grand building it. But let's go straight. I'm not doing it. Oh, there we go. Can you see how it's like a covered bridge? Isn't that just the best? That is so cute. I've never had an opportunity to use it yet though, because the rivers on this game are always so wide. Like, you don't want a covered bridge like this long. Look at that, that looks stupid. But yeah, anyway. Let's stick this back on fast forward because I'm running out of money. All I'm doing right now is playing the waiting game whilst this levels, whilst people move in. Oh, yeah. Oh no, I haven't unlocked that yet. Never mind. By the way, when you first start out, you can, if you've done what I've done, where you've used the sewage and the pumping station, you can put your water budget down to 50%, because you're not going to need to put it up for a long time, and that'll save you a little bit of money. As you can see at the minute, I'm losing money, but that'll change eventually. I was gonna say, there's no way I need all that water. I think it's the power. I don't have enough power. Another tip, by the way, when it comes to commercial areas, I haven't quite figured out how I like to do this yet. But wherever you build commerce, your industry will want to go. So wherever, like, if I decided to put my commerce over here, you know, put all my shops and restaurants and all that jazz, I will have lorries driving through my town to get to them. or vans, and they will stop traffic because they do these weird turning in things that stops all the traffic. Why are you saying you need water? Did I not put pipes down? Oh no. Whoops. Okay, so now I'm just keeping an eye on my my demand meter, which is that thing down in the bottom right corner. The way that I understand this meter is if any of the bars get to halfway, it means that they want to expand. It means that they want to expand that area of zone. So let's say my industry is my highest at the minute, but it's not halfway along the bar. If it was halfway along the bar, that tells me that they just want more industry at the minute. They don't need, they're not desperate for it. It's not like there's too many people who are unemployed. It just means that they want to expand. Same with the green, which is residential. And if all three of them are pretty much in the middle, it means that your entire town just wants to get bigger. At that point, you've usually got quite a good balance between the different zones. Whereas if, for example, let's say the green was all the way to the end of the bar, to the other end of the bar, so it was full, that tells me that they're desperate for housing, so I can put down a load of housing and now fill it up. Eventually they'll stop filling, the bar will be empty, but what's happening is you've got more supply and they're still moving in. So don't worry, don't feel like you have to suddenly get rid of houses. As you can see, I've started to make a little bit of money. And we can add... It's so strange. Let's move that like that. So I can't remember what the first milestone is. 360. Okay, cool. I actually kind of like this layout, having highways on both sides of the river. That's pretty cool. Traffic's doing okay. Let's see how roundabout's working for now. By the way, this area of your map, when you first start the game and you come up with your own solution, you might use a roundabout like I have. You might use you might have the road joining onto an avenue, because you can have the road, you can have an avenue have two roads coming off of the end of it. You might, I don't know, you might make tunnels, or you might just have it go straight into a road. Like, however you decide to handle this entry point to your town. Once you get to about, I would say 5,000 people, it won't work. It doesn't matter what you did, it won't work anymore. It just won't. And yeah, there's nothing I can offer to as a solution. There's nothing I can offer as a solution because I still haven't figured out how to make it work. The best I can come up with is a roundabout. No worries already exist. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I hope that you are getting some helpful tips. So as you can see, my industry bar is now beyond halfway. So I could wait for them to say that they need more, but it'd just be easier if I just make them more now. And as you saw, I hit my first milestone of 360. So that's pretty much what all I'm going to show you so far, apart from one or two things. When you hit milestones, you'll unlock new buildings. You won't have access to this. This won't be in yours unless you have some of the DLCs. So remember how I built this straight road here? And that was for this, so that I can plop this down like that. Ooh, those buildings look different. And so as you progress through the game, minus 6,000. You can recover from being in debt, but I think if you go too far in debt, the game fails you. I think I remember that. If that is the case, it was years ago that I found that out. But anyway, so yeah, the aim now would just be to keep expanding, keep designing, keep building. You know, your money's going to gradually build up. Try to keep in mind every now and then I like to come over and I just look at the pilot, and you can see up there my electricity availability, and then I come across and I see my water and sewage. I don't actually need that one. So yeah, just keep an eye on everything. As you can see at the minute, I need industry and commerce, so let's add. We can add some commerce there. Did that apply? Yeah, it did. Okay, so that's the idea now. You would just expand and expand. Another thing to keep an eye on is opening up the info views. So that's this one down here, or you can just hold Y and press down. And it brings up all these different views. So when you first start off, obviously your electricity is going to be very relevant, because as you can see, I've separated my industry from my residential. And that's really important, and I'll show you why in a second. You could see your water, you could see who has access to water and who doesn't. If they don't have access to water, it will be like a browny, reddy orange sort of color. Crime is irrelevant at the minute. I haven't unlocked police station. Same with fire. Healthcare is important because I have unlocked it with the first milestone. As you can see, the average healthcare here is not particularly high. Blue is the best color, but that's to be expected because I don't have any like hospitals or anything. So you can see the population through this one. You can see citizen happiness. They're not very happy because they don't have access to the services that I've unlocked. So you don't have to worry, like, for example, I haven't unlocked police or fire yet. But if I plop down... okay, so this is a school. If I put down a school... and I put down, like, a little doctor's surgery... these guys are going to be a lot happier now. Because I've put down the... you have to give it time to catch up. Because I've... have I made the mistake that I told people not to do? I have... oh my god, I did exactly what I told people not to do. No wonder they're unhappy. That's so embarrassing. I did that on purpose to see if anyone would notice. I didn't really. I can't believe I did that. I haven't done something like that in years. It's going to take ages for them to be happy again. Okay, so as you can see, the blue is happy. People are starting to get happier, so that will come up. Parks and leisure you don't need to worry about yet. Land value isn't important yet, but look, you could see what I was on about here, about building houses along the river line or shoreline. Automatically gives you a boost of land value. And the higher value land, the higher level building, which means more taxes, which means more income, more opportunities to spend money. Levels, so this is the level of the building. I don't think this view is very helpful. I don't think that you can really see the differences in the building levels, but I'll show you this. So let's pick this house. If you look at my green blob, there's a bar there, and at the moment there's one section filled. That's the building level, and as you can see underneath it says they want education, but it's not just education that levels up buildings. It's land value, it's health, it is noise pollution. You know, there's loads of things you have to bear in mind. So these are the outside connections. At the moment, this isn't specialized industry, so there's going to be a lot of import and not very much export. But that's okay, you deal with what you can at the beginning of the game. Transport, not important at a minute. Traffic flow. I really recommend that you check this out at the very beginning of the game. It will never be 100% because the highways and the highways slash motorways that form part of the map all automatically have like traffic flow issues, I guess you could call them flow issues, or high volume of traffic. If you look right at the beginning of the game, you'll know what the starting point is. So I know now that 96% is how the game was before I built anything. We'll assume it was 96 anyway, because obviously I have built things. Eventually, this entire roundabout will be dark red, and this alone will bring down my traffic flow percent to like 89. Honestly, you just have to experiment. Don't be afraid to delete a road. Don't be afraid to move some buildings or extend the highway or whatever. Whatever works. You can just leave your traffic to do what it wants. You can let it go all the way down to 40%, but you're going to have people die and buildings burn down as a result. So we've got garbage here. And by the way, the green roads are the high efficiency areas. So as you can see, it's not very efficient on this part of the highway because it can't access it. There's no way for them to get onto that part of the highway. Not that I need them to pick up rubbish from highway that I don't own. What am I doing? There we go. Traffic routes. I love this view. I really do. It's really useful later on in the game when you start building paths and whatnot. So if I just leave it up like this for now, you can see if I hover over any road, it will show me the sort of traffic that's using it at the minute. Look at all those trucks starting to come already. And you can hover over a building and it will show if there is anyone on their way to it or from it. It will show you that. Let's see, there's a doctor's over here. Is anyone going there? Nope, no one's going there. We've got a pedestrian making their way to the landfill. This view is really useful because if I click on this roundabout and I turn off all the vehicles, so we can see all the pedestrians here. The problem is pedestrians slow traffic when they use the crossings. So what I would do here is I would add like an overpass. Once I've unlocked the paths, I would either add an overpass or an underpass to allow the pedestrians just to avoid this crossing altogether. It's also useful to see where your trucks are going. Like at the minute I've got trucks coming up here. I'd really rather not have trucks coming anywhere near my residential because it will completely slow the flow of traffic. Another thing is this junctions. As I've pointed out in the past, you know, depending on the road type that you're using and the connections, it will automatically do some of this for you. But what you can do is, this is a roundabout, right? Roundabouts have priority, so I could go around like this and tell all these people to stop before joining the roundabout. Alternatively, what you can do is if you have the road selected, this road, oops, didn't mean to do that. If you have the road selected, I'm going to have to come over here. If you click priority road, it adds stop signs onto every road that accesses it. So that saves you the job of doing that. That's not what I was doing. Right. Try and fly through this. Adjust roads. You can use this to keep road names the same. So for example, you can see here that this road does that. Well, maybe I want this boulevard to be part of that road. So I drag that along and now it's no longer called a boulevard. It's now Belmont Avenue all the way around. And maybe I want this Sheffield Road actually to be part of Victoria Street. So click and drag that down there, and there we go. Now they're all one road. That's more for beautification and for your own entertainment, I guess. It serves no real function. Keep doing that. Okay, so ground pollution. This is something you want to... This is why I built my industry away from my residential, because it will get people sick otherwise. When you specialize in a particular industry, you can... Have I unlocked it yet? No. 720. If I can build a few more houses, maybe I can show you before we start. Oops. Yeah, so eventually you're able to build specialized industry like farming or forestry. You can also do oil and ore, but both of them are polluting, whereas forestry and farming create no pollution. They create noise pollution, but everything creates noise pollution. Wherever there's cars, there's noise pollution. But at least you won't have the ground pollution. You can have farming and have someone live next to it, and it won't get them sick. Ooh, what's going on? Okay, so I think I've unlocked it now. Yeah. So what I can do is I can paint this area here. And I can say, make that farming only. So it's going to destroy all of my industry buildings. But as you can see, my industry wants to expand. My whole town wants to expand right now. Yeah, so we'll get rid of these. And then in their place, people will rebuild farm industry. And this area won't create pollution. One thing you do have to do is wait for the pollution to gradually go. It won't just disappear when you get rid of the buildings. It takes time for it to go. So if you wanted to move people in next to these farms, you would have to wait, because they'll still get ill if you move them in now. You can also customize some of the other areas. I don't know if you'll have access to this one. I think that one's part of the DLC that I have. But remember, you use this view to see where you can special. Why is it just done that? Where you can specialize. I could put some more farmland over here. I can carry on building a bit more farmland over this way. Otherwise, everywhere else, if I build industry, it's going to have to be generalized, or they're going to import things. So what we can do is we can come here and we can say done. And you can also do policies for the areas, for the districts. That's the word I was looking for. So depending on what DLCs you own will affect what policies are available, and you unlock more of them as you go through. Like, for example, legalized weed you don't unlock until you've got 2,200. You can also tax areas differently within the game. I've never ever bothered with that, but you never know. You have a fiddle with it. Maybe you can maybe it's like a hidden tool that actually makes a really big difference. You can also rename these things. One thing I want to say as well is when you edit things like the districts, so I'm going to show you again, right? This is how it looks. I can see the shape of the district, I can see the name, and I've got this yellow cursor thing. When I open this and then close it, you can see, if you look down at the bottom left corner, you can see I still have that query tool or whatever it is activated, but nothing is coming up and I can't interact with anything. I can zoom in, but I can't select or deselect. The way that you fix this is hold Y and then do any of these. It doesn't matter which one. And then you can exit it by pressing B. Okay, try and remember that because it will catch you out a few times. Yes, I did realise I leveled up. Absolutely is a fantastic city builder. There we go. Sort that out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save this, even though I told myself I wouldn't. I'm going to overwrite that one. And I'm going to show you my other town. This one I started yesterday and I'm really proud of it because I think it looks quite nice. Not all areas, I still have a temporary industry zone, which is this one. And look at the traffic in here. And look, here's my roundabout. I tell you, this game drives me crazy with these things. Everyone is using the first lane, even though they're not turning off at the next exit. Like, I don't know if it's different in America or Europe, but if you're on a roundabout, you're only going in the outermost lane if you're taking that next exit. And it really frustrates me that they don't do that on this game. There's a whole lane here where they could be moving so much faster, but anyway. So yeah, this monstrosity, this overpass. The reason I've built this is because this is highway. This roundabout is made out of highway, which means there's no way for my pedestrians to actually get over to this side. So I built this overpass because I also have a tunnel here. Otherwise I would have built a tunnel. No, I probably should sink it down and make it a tunnel too, because it really is ugly. So anyway, let's show you my town. So this is my town so far. I'm going to show you it like this. Me doing this like a cinematic panning. Okay, so anyway, enough of that. So let me tell you a little bit about what's going on here. So first of all, don't forget I've got access to some of the DLCs that you might not have. So there may be things here, like for example this, is it geothermal? No, it's not geothermal. What's it called? Solar updraft tower. You won't have access to this unless you have the Green Cities DLC. So, right, yeah, what's going on? Let me break it down as districts first. So this here is my farming industry, and there's also a lot of commerce here. There's a lot of commercial zoning, and this commercial zoning only accepts local and organic produce. Which means that the traffic that all of these farms produce just travels straight to these shops, which I found makes the traffic a little bit better than having them driving through the rest of my town or what have you. So yeah, there's that. I also use my industrial area to put things like my bus depot and my taxi depot, my recycling centres. You won't have recycling centres if you don't have the Green Cities DLC. You'll just have to use landfills until you unlock the incineration plant. What else is going on here? Let's come over this way. So I have these areas of low density residential, and it's all residential. There's no commerce here. It's all residential. With a few parks dotted around. This is Park Life DLC, this park here, so you won't have access to something like this, but this one you will. So Let me come up a little bit more, and I've started to turn this all into high density residential, which you will unlock later. That's these darker colours. Well, not this one, that's office. So high density commercial and high density residential. The difference is that high density residential, you can see here, are bloody great big towers. Low density are like houses. And this is what I was on about building along the shoreline. If you, when you've got, I think it's 1,200 people in your town, you unlock this like menu, including this here. This one is called key. I don't know if I can even show you it because I've done most of them. Oh, I'll do it here. Okay, so if I do this, as you can see, look, it just flattened this land here, and I now have a nice arch, and the road can stick to it. As you can see, it snaps. So if I'm sure that's on. So then what I could do is I can build little houses there. I'm not going to, or you can, and it just looks so much nicer than along here, because you end up with like these weird cliff things like this everywhere. It just looks a bit odd. Let's come back over. So as you can see, I've already started mapping out like the arteries of this town with the avenues. They may one day get upgraded to the 6-lane roads. I really hate 6-lane roads. I think they look stupid. It might just be because we don't really get them here in England, but I don't like them. So where I can, I try and keep it as avenues. So yeah, as you can see, built this like outline, and what I've been doing is I've been gradually filling up more and more of it. So this area here was the most recent one to get filled in, and I'm going to carry on building as more residential zone is requested. I'll build some more residential around the outside and then build inwards. Because what I tend to do is on like islands, the outside of the area will be low density and the inside will be high density, because that keeps the traffic flow quite low. Well, the traffic flow good, but it keeps the traffic quite low around the outside of your town. Whereas if you've got high density going into low density, going into high density, you're going to be having so many problems. How many hours do I have on this game? I'm not even sure it tells you, does it? No, I don't think it tells you how many hours. But I only started it yesterday morning, if that helps. So at a guess, and it was my day off yesterday, so at a guess, I would say, what time is it now? It's coming up to 4 o'clock. I played about 4 hours this morning. Maybe 16 hours on this town. So yeah, as you build, just keep in mind what you want to have in there. So for example, it might be that I would like to have this area quite touristy. As it happens, I do want this area to be quite touristy. So I need to make sure that I leave spaces for the tourist attractions. That's why over here, at the moment, I haven't made this look like my style of building. As you can see, I don't like straight lines. But this is the bridge section. That's because I'm going to be integrating my industry in other ways that I haven't yet come up with. So this just stays like this because it works. But You just go through and find the method that works for you the most. It might be that the grid style, sorry, works for you, and it does when you first start. By all means, please go for grid. You know, get those perfectly straight roads. Did you just upgrade that? Do those perfectly straight roads. I mean, these ones are straight, but that's because I wanted a square, a rectangle zoo. But yeah, it's about experimenting. Don't be afraid to mess up. As you can see, I've got a lot of people that are dying at the minute and not being collected because I don't have enough cemeteries. But that's okay. You know, these are the ways that you learn. There will be death waves in your save. I can promise you that. You will be like, oh my god, why is everyone dying? The plan is this is going to be like my main residential area, and over here is going to be like tourist and industry. As you can see, I've got some heavy polluters and then just some general industry. And over time, as the oil runs out, because oil runs out, you can see where this used to be oil. Eventually this whole area will be turned into forestry because you can see there's plenty of trees here. I don't know really what other tips to offer you. Let me just think. Highways. Coming off and onto highways. You've got a few choices. You can use these pre-built assets. They work, they're okay, they're not brilliant. This one as well. I hate this one with a passion because it's so hard dealing with those two bits of highway coming off. You can use the roundabouts. Honestly, these roundabouts are much bigger than they need to be. This is only a 2-lane road leading into this. Why is it so big? It doesn't need to be that big. So some of the things that you can do to make exiting the highway easy. Let me find the standard highway stuff. Let's say you've got a bit of highway like this. The easiest method, the most straightforward method I have found to deal with this situation is you build a roundabout above. Do that. Why are you not letting me put that there? There we go. Okay, so as you can see, I've got like a roundabout here of highway on top. I don't know which way I've done this. Left-hand driving. Those will need to be the other way. Oops. You can do complicated things like this. You know, you could make your own spaghetti junction if you want. But this method, I find, is one of the easiest to create for a start. And it's fairly effective. Where's that? Highway. Okay, so this is very basic, but it will have good traffic flow. Obviously I've yet to explain how you'd come off of this. So how I tend to do that is, let's say I have an avenue. We'll go for an avenue. A couple of ways you can do this. You can just go straight onto it with an avenue. This will work, but you might have traffic problems on these two lanes, because if any of them want to go this way, they're going to be crossing traffic that wants to go this way, so you can have problems with that. So one method I tend to use in this situation is, go back to the line. Let's say it was just one side. I just wanted one side. Ignore all that. Let's say I just wanted to come off of this highway like this. This is the method I would use. They can still turn around. I don't know that they would want to, but it's probably one of the easiest ways to deal with coming off of the highway. I really recommend, if you can, to like take a screenshot of this, or just keep it somewhere safe.
Phones for over 20 years. How did
Because
we get there?
You won't have
By
too
putting
many
ringtones
traffic
in
problems
every
like
commercial
this.
that make you think your phone is ringing. Whether you have a new phone, an old
let
phone,
me
or just
turn
leave it on vibrate, we
that
make sure
off
you always...
for now. Any other parts? Oh yes. So you'll have access to road tolls, and they're very tempting to use, but I really recommend against them. They will bring your traffic to an absolute crawl. It doesn't matter where you put them, you'll end up with massive tailbacks. So they're just not worth the money that they bring you. I promise you, they're just not worth it. Anything else that I can think of? Oh yes, mass transit. This is definitely an area that a lot of people want help with. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to... Okay, so this is definitely an area that a lot of people get confused by. So the first thing that you'll unlock will be buses and I believe taxis. I think taxis are after dark, so yeah. You have to place down a bus depot. It doesn't matter where you place the depot, as long as it's connected to the facilities. It can be placed anywhere. As you can see, I have a bus depot. I actually have a biofuel one, but it's the same thing. So I have my bus depot here. But I don't... It's not a bus station. It's just where the buses go to be repaired and maintained and whatnot. Is there a way that I can hide all of the other lines? I don't think so. Okay. I will use this as an example then. When you create your bus routes, you need to think of it as in the most efficient way possible. Don't do things like this. I promise you, no one will ride this bus, okay? Because it goes nowhere. It actually goes nowhere. Let me delete that line. If you look at my bus routes here, I really wish I could hide. Can I just show buses? Didn't mean to do that. Nope, I can't just show them. Okay, well, anyway. Okay, so here are some bus routes here. These two purpley pink lines. Right, as you can see, they go round, they come up, and it's just like a circular bus. What's the word I'm looking for? Circular route. And I've done another one up here, and I will do another one up here. That's because if you go in opposite directions, you can take more passengers. For example, let's say someone here, right where this purple bus is. Let's say they wanted to go to this stop. They have to travel the entire way round until they get to the stop that they want. But if they cross the road and get on this bus, they'll be there in no time. So it really helps to have buses going in opposite directions following the same route. You can have them stop exactly opposite each other like here, but you don't have to. I usually do that just so that I know what the traffic, what that area is like for wanting public transport. So as you can see, I've actually got quite a lot of people standing waiting for the buses here. So what I did was I used this information to tell me, well, I want a subway stop down here. And so that's why I've built a subway line. Metro, I guess, in this game. And what you can do is you can also use buses as like a shuttle service. That's what this green line is here. This green line is a shuttle service that takes people from... where is that stop? There's one of them. Is there not another one there? Okay, so it takes them from here and here. So there's joining bus lines. It takes them from this part of the town over to where they might be either working or where they want to shop. So as you can see, this bus stop is pretty popular, so I also put another subway station down here. So shuttle services tend to be really, really good as long as you're taking people somewhere they want to go. The Sims in the game, your townsfolk will happily walk to a bus stop. You don't have to have a bus go down their road for them to use it. They actually walk pretty damn far. They walk further than I would. So that's buses, okay? Have them going along major routes in both directions of the route. Don't do wiggly, windy paths. There's no point. No one will catch the bus. And you're not going to be saving that much. You're not going to be saving people from driving that much anyway. And expand your bus network as you expand your city. I haven't done it yet, but I will be. Buses are really, really useful. The problem as well is that they cause traffic. When there are multiple buses stopping at the same line, let me see if I can find one. I've no doubt I will. Ah, okay, here we go. Right, let's pause it. So this bus has stopped here. This bus hasn't stopped. It's actually waiting to stop. And as a result, any cars or whatever that come behind it, they will have to stop and wait. So this is one area that buses really fall down at. They create traffic if they create traffic when there's too many of them in one spot. Like this here is going to create traffic. I can see they're both going to stop at the same stop, but the purple bus won't be able to access the stop until the green bus has left. So bear that in mind. You can stagger all of your bus stops. So instead of having both buses stop here, I could move the stop there. And then this bus won't have to wait for the green bus. It'll drive past him and then stop there. Actually, it's going to stop at both stops. It's just... okay, never mind. I just won't save what I've done. Okay, so a subway you unlock a little bit later. Please bear in mind these are so expensive. It might only cost 15,000 to build the subway stations, but building the actual line is so expensive. Like building this line here cost me something like 200,000. You know, be prepared. It's going to cost you a lot. And again, when it comes to the metro, the underground, whatever you want to call it, you want trains going in opposite directions. You want circular. And here I've got a joining station. As you can see, it's very popular down there. This again takes them into the like work district. I don't have either of these two trains go directly in there. I could tell them to come in and then loop out, but there's no point. If I just have these follow a circular route, people are more than happy to change trains. I don't think the game cares about like buying a train ticket and then buying a bus ticket and buying I don't know, a taxi. And I don't think people on within this game are as bothered as maybe you or me. If I had to buy a train ticket to then catch a bus and then take a taxi the rest of the way, I would be going, no, I'm not doing that. But on this game, they don't seem to mind, so don't worry too much about that. Taxis, honestly, I wouldn't really bother with them. Not until late game, but yeah, other than that, I don't think there was anything else I wanted to cover with mass transit. I guess there is one thing actually I wanted to say about mass transit. One thing to say. If you're struggling to see the differences, as you can see, these two colours here are actually quite similar. What you can do is you can come over here and you can change the colour so that it is much less similar. Let's say I go white. There you go. So now they're a lot more there's better contrast between the two lines, and that also extends to the buses. As you can see, that bus is now white whilst this one's purple. So all of those buses that were pink are instantly turned white. So that might help you see how everything is flowing, how your mass transit is flowing. And I guess if we come back to here, I can explain a couple more of the things that I didn't have access to before. So electricity, water, sewage, crime, fire. These are all pretty self-explanatory. When it comes to putting down schools, it doesn't work the same way as, for example, the healthcare. If I put down a hospital, everyone around it will suddenly start turning blue. Or it might take a couple of turns. It might take a couple of in-game days or a week maybe, but they'll turn bluey, greeny, cyan, whatever color you call that, pretty quickly. When it comes to education, it is very, very slow. Don't expect immediate results. As you can see, I've got a school here. It's an elementary school, so it's first grade, first school for those of you who are English. And I still have people here who are uneducated, and it's just because it takes time for that to take effect. A lot of time. Again, look, I've got a high school there, but absolutely no one here is, or nearly no one here is educated by it. And the university as well. Almost no one is educated by the university. So they take a little bit of time to get there. Happiness. Usually, when your town looks like this, and you just see the odd speck of red, it usually means that that building is empty. Yeah, so as you can see there, it says low density residential building, 0 of 1 households. So all it means is there's no one living there at the minute. Why that means that they're unhappy, I don't know, but yeah. Parks, land value. So again, as you can see, build along the shore and you get a boost to the land value automatically. I don't even really have any parks over it. I have no parks here, but you can already see it's into the high area, whilst this is still middling. This is local produce. All these shops take produce from the farms, so have more imports than exports. Traffic flow, you know, it happens. It will happen. The entryway to your town will always be like this. If you can find a way to not make it like this when you've got a population of 10,000, please send me a screenshot. I'd like send it on Twitter or Discord or whatever. I don't care. Just tell me how you do it, because it does not matter what I do. I cannot make this any smoother. Not without mods anyway. But obviously we can't access mods on here. Pollution. Noise pollution. Okay, so this is something that you'll want to bear in mind a little bit later on in the game. But early in the game, I guess it's not too much of a problem, but a little bit later, it will have an impact. One thing that you can do to reduce noise pollution is use the roads that have either grass or trees. So if I wanted to, let's use one of these smaller roads. So I can take this small road and upgrade it so that it has trees. One thing I will say though is you lose your parking. Cars can't park when there's trees or grass on the side. But what this will do is the trees reduce the amount of noise pollution produced by the cars. Also, you can manually plant trees as well, wherever you're able to. So if you've got space, you can plant trees. Like down here, I could plant a few trees and that would help with some noise pollution. Don't forget to do your zoning. It really does help. You might not think it does, but it genuinely does make a difference. Like, for example, over here. Is it over here or is it? Yeah, I think it's over here. No one's allowed to use cars with combustible engines. So there's absolutely no noise pollution over here. Apart from like city vehicles, like, you know, the rubbish trucks and stuff like that. But otherwise, everyone has to bike or use an electric vehicle. Because it keeps the land value high. And again, around here as well. And down here, I've told them to not go to school. Because I want to make sure I have uneducated workers to go to this industry. By the way, speaking of which, that's a good point. You can have a university graduate work in industry. You can have them work on a farm. They won't want to work on the farm, and it will take a while to fill the jobs, but eventually highly educated people will take uneducated jobs. But you can't do it the other way around. So feel free to go ahead and get everyone educated. Don't worry when it says stuff like, I don't know, 50% are highly educated, and your industry is like, we have no workers, we have no workers. They will get workers eventually. You might have to demolish some abandoned buildings now and then, but they will get those workers eventually. What a random pylon. Let me see, is there anything else? Tourism. I'm still exploring the tourism. I haven't used tourism that much in the past, so I haven't really got anything to say on that. Just experiment, I guess. See what works. I know that tourism brings noise pollution, and it also brings crime. So try and keep in mind how you plan your city based on your tourism. So, for example, where I tend to have touristy areas, I've also got police stations near. I think my police station is there, possibly. Anyway, so yeah, try and keep it in mind. Wherever you have touristy areas, there's going to be more crime. And yeah, this is DLC, the park maintenance, and possibly the tours. I'm not sure. But yeah, other than that, if anyone has any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. I think I've covered everything that I planned to cover. I'm going to come back over here so that you can see this again. I really, really recommend that you take like a screenshot of this or something. It's really easy to make and it's really effective. Okay, this doesn't have to be this road. It could just be a small. It could just be this, right? That's absolutely fine. Obviously, you're not going to have as much capacity. It could be you do this if you want. You have 6 lanes leading straight on. That's probably going to slow down your traffic, but it's not going to be as bad as. It's not going to be as bad as this. And the way, just so that you know, the way that I would deal with this is I would buy that bit of land. I would buy this square of land. I'm not going to because I don't want it. I'd buy that square of land and I would change that intersection so that it would be more like this. So then I could have the traffic already flowing smoothly into my town. Whereas at the moment, they're not flowing smoothly into the town. They come in and then there's just this mess. But yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, ask away in the chat. A couple of the smaller bits of advice: use the inspector. It can give you some really useful information. Like, for example, here, I need to educate my citizens more for the building to level up. You can also pick on, let me see, I'm going to pause a second, find a car. A taxi. I don't want a taxi. There's a car. Okay, so you can follow individual people, you can follow cars, you can see where they're planning to go. I could do it on this cyclist down here. Let's see where he's going. See what I mean about them? They do travel quite a long way. Cyclists and pedestrians do travel quite a long way. And that really helps with traffic, by the way, having cyclists and pedestrians instead of loads of cars. So that view, that like analysis is really helpful. What else can you do with this? Oh yeah, you can actually activate roads as well to bring up like the road information. See this sort of things there. You can change the name of the road. Like I called this Oxford Overpass. So I did that manually. You can do that with people as well. If I pause, I can come here and rename Winston Alexander to whatever I want. But I don't think it makes them a special character. I think you'd have to look for them to find them. Right, anything else to mention? Yes. Check the Y menu whenever you select anything, because it does open up other quite often it'll open up other radial menus, which could be helpful. It might make your life a little bit easier. And something that I imagine will be a question is, how do I know what this does? I mean, I know it says Child Health Center, but if let's just imagine, okay, what's the difference between a medical clinic and a hospital other than the price? How do I find out that information? Well, there's two ways you can do it. You press R3 on each one and it'll open them in turn. Or if you come back to this part of the bar and you press up on the D-pad, you can see them all. And you can also highlight ones that you haven't unlocked yet. And that makes this really, really useful to do. You can't do it with the submenus you haven't unlocked yet. I can't open more information on this, but like I can open this one and see all of the things that are in there, even ones I haven't unlocked. It's really, really useful to bear that in mind, rather than coming in and being like, okay, let's say okay, and then try that one and that one. But yeah, that's that one I think is probably one of my favorite little tips to give you, because why is that a 6-lane road? Just because it made my life a lot easier when I figured it out. Another little tip, I guess, whilst we're here, is when it comes to changing the landscape. As you can see, there's a bar there that says soil availability, and this is going to cost me a fortune, I imagine, but right, as you can see, I've just made the most ridiculous, I don't even know what to call it, a hill? A giant cliff? Anyway, but you can see my soil availability went down, and if I carried on doing this, my soil availability will go down even more. Let's carry on until I run out of soil. Okay, I have no soil. What do I do now? There's a couple of things that you can do to get more soil. You can either buy soil, which is pretty expensive, or you can dig soil up. And you do that by it's not immediately obvious how you do this. You select the landscaping tool, the up and down arrow one, the shift terrain. A will lift the terrain, X will lower the terrain. I don't know why I'm bothering, because I'm just going to load an old save. So yeah, that's that. The slope terrain tool works like this. If I select there and I tell this one, it will bring this area of land up to match that. And you can, this can be useful when you're trying to smooth out places like here. So have I got any of them? Did all the smoothing, but let's say my land does this, and I've got my key there, and I want it to look flat like I've done with the rest of these. What I'd do is come here, pick the middle of the water, as you can see it's right down the bottom, and then I can do that and it'll bring the land down. Oh, water! There's another tip for you. Okay, we're going to run through this one too. You'll only have access to these 3 canals. You won't have access to these ones unless you get the mass transit DLC. Right. Canals can look lovely. They really can. They can look really lovely once this fills up. But beware of the water physics on this game. First of all, water's incredibly slow. So won't travel uphill. This won't fill up. It'll only go as high as this bit, so it might reach the end, but it won't fill up to the top. But when you build these canals, right, as you saw, this isn't going to reach the top. But let's say I come over here, I'm going to do a medium one. Let's say I go this way with the flow of the river, because this is going against the flow of the river. Right, watch what happens here. This will catch you out so many times when you adjust the land. Oh, what's going on here? Okay. Luckily, going uphill here, so it just flowed straight back. I tried building a canal system where this zoo is. Originally, I planned to have a canal system here. And what happened is, because this land actually dips down, as you can see here, it rolls down. I ended up losing half of my city because everyone drowned. Because what happened is the water, there was originally a canal going across like this. And when the 2 bodies of water met, they just flooded the central area. Another thing that will catch you out, this will absolutely catch you out, it catches me out to this day, is when you get rid of the canals. The water doesn't just disappear, it comes up back through the terrain. And it comes all in one go. So please bear that in mind, because you are going to drown some of your townspeople. Also, if something like this happens, as you can see, it's just going to sit here. Water that is on land eventually will just evaporate, which is a real shame, because it means that you can't really make man-made lakes. You can if you use a water outlet pipe, but you're going to be making a sewage lake, so I don't know whether you want to do that. But yeah, eventually these 2 little pond lake things that I've made, they'll just disappear. Another little tip, I guess, for you is that bloody chirper up at the top can be turned off. Go down to options, enable chirper messages, just turn that off. we go. Any other little tips have I got? What else is there? Oh yes, paths. Pathing. Okay. Paths are really, really useful. Because, as you can see here, I have a lot of people using this path, and even more people using this path. They absolutely love this path. Rather than me having a road come into here, and then end up with more and more traffic, and more intersections where there's already traffic, I just have a path, so that people can catch the bus. And as you can see, these guys have all caught the bus. Most of them seem to be coming this way. Yeah. So I've saved on a lot of cars by using these paths here and linking areas. I actually like using paths for beautification as well. Like I added this little slide thing. And when you build some of the parks, some of these parks, I can't tell you which ones because I don't know. But when you build some of them, they actually have paths coming off of them. If I go back to the paths, you can see here these nodes are actually part of this park. So you could have it coming off. There we go. You can have it coming off if you want. And you can like almost extend the entry to this park. This park is stuck onto this road, but there's an entry here, here and here where I've done it manually. So the paths can really, really help. By the way, you don't have to use bicycle paths to have cyclists use paths. If you use a bicycle path, only cyclists will use that path. Normal paths and gravel paths will both be used by cyclists. And if you want to stop that, I think you have to you have to activate the policy that is no cycling on pavements. Yeah, so no cycling on pavements. But I don't know why you'd want to do that, because it's not like people can actually die on here from being hit by a bike. Not like in real life, but anyway. Any more tips? Any more tips? Any more tips? There's so many things to this game. It's really hard to think of everything. A nice thing, I guess, is when you're particularly pleased with your town, you can press the select button to bring up like the like photo mode, I guess you could call it. But photo mode isn't just restricted to this. You can't really tell because obviously all the UI has disappeared, but if you hold Y whilst in this, you can access this radial menu and you can plop down as a character, and then we can change the character. You can even be a bird. Yeah, I'm having far too much fun doing that. You can also drive around your town. This is no Grand Theft Auto or F1 or you know, the driving on this game is not very realistic, and you'll go crazy trying to get a car to go, look at this car, I'm already like power sliding. So it's not ideal. Also, you can break things. I don't know whether it has any impact on your city, but yeah, just be aware. Also, it's really weird, but X is to reverse. Every time you'll go to use the trigger, but yeah, X is reverse. And there is no handbrake. You can't do handbrake turns, but you don't need to because you drift all the time on this game. And then the final one. This is my favorite. This is my favorite. Cinematic camera. This is brilliant. You do this, and let me come out of that a sec. You do this. You put on. You buy the Jazz radio station from the DLCs. It's only cheap. It's not very expensive. So there we go. How lovely is this? He doesn't always pick the best thing to show cinematically, but most of the times it gets something good. So that's that. Let me think. Is there anything else that I can think of? Yeah, you're going to be... if you do what I did when I was doing that, you know, first starting out, and you put down windmills, you're going to be constantly battling with your power. And you'll, at some point, you'll end up with 20 windmills and you'll be like, how do I still not have enough power? It's because the wind levels change. And all you can do is just keep building them or waiting. The problem is if you wait too long, people will start abandoning their houses. So just bear that in mind. You can always build the coal... Is it coal? Yeah, you can always build the coal power plant, but it creates so much pollution. It's so expensive. And it puts out far too much power than you... Far more power than you need at the beginning of the game anyway. So, yeah. I usually try and hold out for as long as I can until I can get the advanced wind turbine. Because these are brilliant. And they can go a long way with creating up to 20 megawatts. I don't know if you'll have access to the hydroelectric dam. Let me have a quick look. Oh yeah, you can have... Okay, so hydropower plant is part of the standard. So another little quick thing about this. Depending on the height of the terrain, I don't think this map is a good one to show you actually. Depending on the height of the dam will affect how much power you can get. So if I was like here, I'd only get 16 megawatts, whereas here it's up to 160. So bear that in mind when you're building them. Also, when you build these hydroelectric power plants, be prepared for your town to flood. Okay? Because they do kind of model this, you know, they model it kind of accurately. In fact, I'll do it. I'll just show you. Let's speed this up. Let's see. The water level on this side is rising. The water level on this side is decreasing. And this water needs to go somewhere. If it builds up too quickly, if you have a fast-flowing river, it's just going to breach the dam. I don't think it's going to breach this dam. Oh, apparently I've completely stopped the flow of water. I've never done that before. But that means I'm definitely breaching the dam. Wow. I didn't even know that was possible. That is, yeah, surprising. In fact, I think the dam will be the last thing to breach. I think it's just going to flow onto the entire island. Now, let's get rid of it. And remember I said that when you deal with water, you just have to be... You just have to expect consequences. Whatever you do with the water, just expect consequences. Even if it's something as simple as... let's say I wanted to put that terrain down a little bit, just to let a little bit of water onto there. You have to be prepared for something to happen. It will probably come down and then splash over, or maybe it brings the water line. This is getting a bit out of hand. Yeah, see, it's already starting to flow over. So if I get rid of this, and then you'll see how there are consequences whenever you do anything with water. I'd be surprised if it doesn't put my industry underwater. I have something sticking up on my screen. That's better. So whilst that's doing that, I'm genuinely shocked that it didn't put my town underwater. There's some really great DLCs, by the way. I really, really, really recommend that you have a look into Green Cities. Green Cities will allow you to build much better power plants. And that alone makes it so much easier. Like using the geothermal and the solar, whatever it was called. Really, really helpful. And there's other things as well, like the recycling plant. I love the recycling plant because it doesn't put out anywhere near as much pollution as the incineration plant or the landfill. So the recycling plants are really, really cool. Park life is good fun, but I wouldn't say it's necessary for you to have a great experience of the game. What else is there? Mass transit adds new road types. Really, really good road types. Okay, so all of these here are standard road types. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 6. So up to this one here. This comes with mass transit, and it's an asymmetric 3-lane road. As you can see, you've got 2 lanes in one direction, 1 lane in the other. Really useful if you've got like high density, I don't know, commerce on one side and residential on the other. Or maybe you've just got a bus route going in the other way or something like that. You also have access to other forms of travel, but yeah, you'll find that out. Also, another thing about the mass transit is it unlocks new highway types. Really, really useful. 2-lane highways, which can be used... sorry, 2-way highways. You can also have 2-lane highways, which can be used to make roundabouts that travel faster than using a 1-way 2-lane road. Because each road type has its own speed. If I show you, the highway, the 2-lane highway, their speed is 100. I don't know what the units are, but it's 100. But if I did the same thing as we're using this 2-lane 1-way road, the speed is 40. So by using this 2-lane highway, my vehicles can travel 2.5 times faster than originally could, and that's what's going on here. This is a 2-lane highway. Really, really recommend the mass transit, even if you don't use any of the other forms of mass transit, like the monorail or the cable car or the blimp or the ferry. Even if you don't use any of those, just the roads alone make this a really, really useful DLC. I can't tell you anything about the airplanes one or the campus one. I've never experienced them. And the content creator packs, I'm sure there's some really great stuff in there, but I don't think it really changes aspects of the game other than how like buildings look or how roads look or people or cars. So, you know, it's up to you what you buy, when you buy it, and how many of them you buy. But I really, really recommend that you at least start out with Green Cities and or mass transit. Other than that, I haven't had any questions yet. So I guess you guys are either facing information overload or I've told you everything that you feel like you need to know. So some parting comments to make before I go is, don't be afraid to delete everything that you've made before. Delete entire areas. It may well be that this forest park here, I have to delete it to make it work. To redo all this traffic, I might have to get rid of Ivy Square and move it somewhere else. If that has to happen, that's fine. I have got plenty of Well, first of all, I've got plenty of money to keep me going, but I've got plenty of other sources of income. Look, I've got all this residential, there's office space, there's commercial around here as well. So if I needed to get rid of this entire district just to redesign this, it's absolutely okay. Do not be afraid to delete things. And in terms of deleting as well, you don't always have to delete things. This here is a fire station, right? Let's say I wanted to move this road so that it was coming through here. You don't have to delete the fire station. You can relocate it. It's really, this never used to be a feature, by the way, but really, really useful. You still have to pay to relocate it, but it's a lot cheaper than selling and then rebuying because you don't get a full refund. It doesn't matter how recently you placed it, you will not get a full refund. Landfills and cemeteries fill up. And there's nothing you can do about it until they have somewhere to go. Landfills empty into recycling plants or incineration plants, and cemeteries empty into crematoriums. There's nothing you can do other than build more. So as you can see, I've got another cemetery over here, and I think I put one down over here somewhere. I swear I did. Oh no, here. What I could do, this is the full symbol, by the way. What I could do is I could come here and tell it to empty, and it will share into the other two cemeteries. So then at least this one wouldn't be full and they could access these buildings. I'm not going to do that though because I'm trying to get a special building and I need to fill up 3 cemeteries. But anyway, that's by the by. So yeah, don't worry about deleting. I think that's probably everything. Build slowly. Don't just come in here. When you unlock the high density, it is so tempting to just go, right, everything high density. I'm going to build a massive grid system, everything high density residential, high density commercial, everywhere office. Don't do that. You'll regret it. I'm not going to tell you why, because I'm sure you're going to do it anyway. I'd like you to find out for yourself. But just remember to build slowly. There's nothing wrong with taking your time and just watching. Like, do I need to maybe take these traffic lights off? Or do I want to move this bus station up the road a little bit more? Do I want to rename one of the roads? You know, take your time. It really will help. So, I guess that's about it. And don't be afraid to just abandon a save. I've done it so many times. Not just on Stadia, on PC. As I said, I've played this for a couple of 100 hours on PC. I've already abandoned 2 saves on this game, and I've overwritten another one. So just, yeah, don't be afraid to do that. You haven't failed, you're learning. Every failure is a learning experience. This was one of my most successful cities for a long time, but I had no plan in the design of it. I was just going as I felt. And as a result now, I look at it and I'm like, I absolutely hate this. I think it's horrible. So we'll come here and then we can just go delete. That's absolutely fine to do that. Don't be afraid to do it. I haven't failed by deleting that town because I am using the things that I learned from that on another town. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Let me quit. So I hope that this has been helpful. It's been a long video. It's been longer than I was expecting it to be, actually. I didn't realize I could keep talking for 2 hours. My throat, I can feel it in my throat that I've been talking for this long now. Yeah, I hope that there's been plenty for you to learn from this. There are some resources that I would like to, if I can, to show you. So if I come here, okay, this page here gives some really incredible advice from someone who is a city planner, and their actual job is city planning, right? Make sure that you click through all of them. It is very long. but there is so much amazing information here. I really, really recommend that you test that out. I'm going to drop this link into the chat. So keep that somewhere. I guess what I'll also do is I'll put it in the video description for anyone who's watching this back as a VOD. But this page is just amazing. Even though it is 7 years old. Oh my god, I feel so old now. Even though it's 7 years old, it's still got some really great information. Some of it may not be up to date anymore. For example, I don't think you can use I don't think you can do this anymore, because this is a highway on ramp, and I don't think you can put buildings onto highway on ramps anymore. But anyway, it's still got a lot of key information that you'll find really, really useful. But other than that, just experiment, see what works for you, learn what doesn't, learn from your mistakes, and yeah, enjoy your time playing City Skylines on Stadia. So my name's Adam, I'm the original Penguin. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like button. If you didn't like it, honestly, feel free to hit the dislike button. It helps me curate my content. I know I've been rambling for a long time now though, so I wouldn't usually be rambling like this. I've just got so much in my mind that I want to share with you all when it comes to this game. If you want to see more content like this, you could hit the subscribe button, and there's a notification bell. It's up to you. You know what it's for. You know where it is. It's up to you if you want to use it. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever time of day it is, whether you're watching with me live or if you're watching this back as a VOD. I really, really appreciate every single one of you. I hope you enjoy. Oh, it's Sunday today. There is no weekend left. Well, I hope you enjoy whether it's the week or the weekend for you. I hope you have a wonderful time, and I shall see you on the next one. Oh my god. Bye everyone.